What's going on, everybody? It's Hot Corner Baseball here. I'm Ben. I'm joined by,
Brody.
and today we're doing the next installment of our top 10 series. If you haven't seen it, we put the three we've done so far into a playlist. So if you haven't seen those, you can check them out. But today we're doing second base. So it's not one of the more loaded positions, but there's still a lot of pretty good players in there. So I think you guys know how this works. If you don't, I'll explain it really quick. We just do the top 10 at each position. We take into account 2019, but we also do take into account the past too, because there's a lot of great players that are still playing that aren't at the same level they used to be. Brody's going to say his list, I'll say my list, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So without further ado, Brody, you can take
All
over.
right. So number 10, I have Jed Lowry. Jed Lowry has been a really underrated star for the Athletics in past years. And then he's a part of the Mets and he's been hurt all season and hopefully he'll be back later this season. Other than that, he's our number 10. Well,
Yeah.
my number 10. Number 9, I have Brian Dozier. After Brian Dozier was traded to the Dodgers, we really expected a lot more from him in the Dodger uniform. And then this offseason, he was acquired by the Nationals, and he just hasn't lived up to what he did on the Minnesota Twins, being an all-star almost every year and just producing every year.
Yeah.
Number 8, I have Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil is probably the best contact hitter in the MLB. Really underrated because he's not one of those big sluggers or the guys who brings in a ton of runs, but that dude can just put the bat on the ball. He just is consistent every single year and just those singles, those clutch hits, and that's why he's number 8 on my list. Number 7, I have Ozzie Albies. Ozzie Albies really came onto the scene last year and was arguably one of the best second basemen last season. He got off to a really hot start again, then slowed down, and now he's back. He's back up to what he was doing with a great night a couple nights ago. He is number 6 on my list. No, number 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Number 6, I have a kind of a surprise this year is Ketel Marte. I know you love him as a D-back. I was just a little surprised when they moved him to center field. We have him at second base because he's played a majority of his career there, and he's technically on the All-Star ballot at second base. I have him there, and overall, the dude is just putting up MVP numbers this season. And if it weren't for players like Arenado or Josh Bell, he'd be in that conversation. You could put him in there, but I don't know. He's on the D-backs, which no offense to Ben, is not one of those teams that like surprise you, like, oh my god, this team's so good.
No, but let me say this really quickly. Like I was surprised too as a fan of him. He's like always been a good player, but I was really surprised at how insanely good he's been doing this year. But he's been consistently doing it. So I think this could be something that continues. So it's exciting. He's been going off against the Rockies, even though we just got swept.
All right, so number 5, I have my boy Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Day. Even though he's all right against teams not named the Orioles, he still is. Speaking of the Orioles, your jersey.
Yeah, I'm not an Orioles fan.
All right, and it's just the dude just rakes in between that lineup. He's just gonna bring in a ton of runs, and if he can keep up this power, which I was not expecting whatsoever. I didn't know he was this kind of power guy when we got him for Chapman. I'm just blown away. He has 17 bombs right now, and I expect him to get to around 30, 35, which would be an insane year. And I feel like he could really help us in our run to win the World Series. Number 4, I have one of my favorite in the National League is Mike Moustakas. Mike, we did a video on him. What video was that with him in it? It was
The All-Star video, right?
Ballot. Yeah, All-Star ballot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make this video long like all of ours have been, but this dude he comes to the Brewers in Miller Park and just continues to rake, and that's why he's my number 4.
Yeah.
Number 3, another guy plagued by injury, like along with Lowry, is Scooter Gennett from the Reds. Scooter Gennett is really, really, really underrated. Partly because he's on the Reds, but like if he was put on a contender, this dude would be a household name. He hits for contact, he hits for power, he can run, he can field. I really do believe he's a top 3 second baseman. Number 2, I have Whit Merrifield. Whit Merrifield does play in the outfield, but we're going to put him at second base just in the case of getting up high on this list. and he does it all along with Jeanette. He's starting to hit for power this year as well, with around 11.
Isn't everybody?
It's
It's kind of stupid.
yeah.
That's a different debate.
He, like me and Ben said before the video, he has stopped running for some reason as much as he used to. Part maybe because it's Mondesi running a ton. I don't know, but he's still number 2 on my list. Number 1, even though he's had a slow year and injury-plagued season, is Jose Altuve. Jose Altuve, he's still been an MVP. He's still putting up good numbers, and you really can't take away from that. Especially being a part of that Astros lineup, he's my number 1. So I try to get through that fast. Just it's not that entertaining of a video if I'm being honest.
Well,
and Ben,
no, yeah, I'll be quicker too, but I do think it's still these are all good players. It's
they're
just
good players. They're not the Arenados. They're not the
yeah.
Bregmans.
I still think it could be a good. I think we do have a few disagreements, so I'm gonna try to make it a little quicker than we have in the past. 10, I have Dozier. I think you had him at 9. I just he really hasn't been good for 2 years straight now. But before that, you got to take into account the fact that he hit 40 bombs one season, 30 the other. Really good power hitter, and he could still bounce back. I think he has a chance to reach 30 this year. Who knows? Number 9, I have Jonathan Scope. So that's a guy you didn't have on your list. He had 2 back-to-back monster seasons, like in 16 and 17 for the Orioles. And like the 17 season was like, oh my gosh, this guy could be a star. But he's really kind of not lived up to that season ever since. But he's still, I mean, last year he put up decent numbers. He didn't really get a chance when he got traded to the Brewers. But, I think the reason I put him above Dozier is just because he's younger and he still has that ability to, put up those numbers that he has in the past. Number 8, I got McNeil as well. I love Jeff McNeil. He's like Merrifield, one of these guys that are kind of underappreciated in the game because everybody's just trying to hit home runs now, and they don't care about anything other than that. So the fact he's a contact hitter, he's really versatile. Like he's like pretty much Ben Zobrist. Him and Nate Lowe, even though Lowe hits for more power, or Brandon Lowe, I mean, on the Rays, even though there are 2 Lows on the Rays. They're really similar players. Like they hit for contact, can play all around the field. They're like mini Ben Zobrists. Number 7, I have Albies. Like you said, he was like a really highly touted prospect along with Acuna. Came up last year, was really hot. Came back down to earth a little bit, but he's been consistently good for the past year and a half. So
he's a guy that is gonna slowly crawl up this list.
Yeah.
Along with Bieber, because like I've said in almost every video, I want to see more to put him up high, and you have to to go crazy if you want to be up top 3 after just one season.
Yeah.
And he's a dude that I think can. I just don't know why he's hitting so low in that Braves lineup. I don't know why. Like,
Acuna, they do have a pretty loaded lineup. Like, I don't think they can justify putting him ahead of guys like Markakis even. But that's one thing. That's what I was going to say next about him. I think he's been overshadowed because he came in like a higher touted prospect than Acuna. But he's been overshadowed by guys like Acuna, Glaber, all like that loaded rookie class last year. He just got overshadowed by Soto and all them. So I think if he stays, I think he's a guy that will probably be in the league for the next 10, 15 years. Just like he's a really talented player, and if he just consistently gets better and better every year, he'll probably reach that potential that people thought. 6, like you said, Marte. Probably the best player on the Diamondbacks this season. Him and Escobar have been like surprising everybody, but I think some of his power that he's been producing recently is due to the fact that the baseballs are probably juiced in some way, like tightening the seams, something like that. Either way, I think he was still a really good player before the season. He's having a breakout year this year. Switch hitter, leading off, still has 20 plus home runs. He's an insanely good player. 5, I think you actually had this guy at 4. I have Moustakas at 5. He's been around for a long time, always going to hit for power, and he's a clutch player as well. Like we all saw that in the Royals playoff runs. So I think, he's gonna continue to do good for the Brewers in that lineup as they head to the playoffs, maybe. Number 4, I have Torres. The reason I put him ahead of a guy like Moustakas is just because he's just such a talented player. He was the number 1 prospect. Cubs traded him to the Yankees, and they probably hate themselves now because they They're
They got
watching Torres.
they got a World
What? They
Series.
got a World Series, but they're watching Torres and Jimenez go off this season. So they yeah.
I find it weird that you're putting all the Yankee players higher than I do. That's just it's happened in two
Hey,
videos.
I may not like the Yankees, but they have great players, and I think Torres is gonna be an all-star for years to come, probably. Uh, Number three, Jeanette. He's injured this year. I don't know when he's coming back. I
Dude,
I thought he was supposed to play this year. Yeah, so
it should be
he'll be
around
like
week 1 to 2.
all-star break.
Yeah.
Um, but either way, yeah, he's had back-to-back really really good years. Last year was insanely good. So he's got like a lot of pop in that bat, which is he's not a big guy, but he hits for power in Great American Ballpark, which is a really small stadium. But either way, like Brody said, really good hitter. Not as great of like a fielder as other second basemen on this list, but he gets the job done, and he's good in that lineup. Number two, Merrifield, another one of those guys like McNeil, just really, really good contact hitter, all around player. He's really versatile. Can play a couple positions in the infield. I believe he can play short, and then also outfield all around. So he's just a really good, versatile player. He has stolen bases in the past. Don't know why he is this year, but either way, he's just a really good all around player, hustle player. So. And then last but not least, I think this is really the most obvious one on the list. Altuve, he's won an MVP at second base. You can't put any of the guys ahead of him. He has been kind of a bum recently, but
He
no, I'm
killed
kidding.
the Yankees.
I'm kidding. But no, he has not been very good this season, but you could possibly attribute that to him being injured. But we've all seen the stats he's put up in the past, and he's been a great player in the MLB for a couple years now. So other than that, I know we had a few switch back and forth, but it is really like similar. Don't you agree?
Yes, and then I'm gonna do my honorable mentions. The Brody same honorable
All right,
mentions.
save Brandon Lowe for me though.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just a note, DJ LeMahieu, we're gonna put him in the third baseman video. If he was in the second baseman video, I have him at number 3. My man, favorite player, just
Maybe
great.
we should have put him in this video though, because he might not be too high on
Uh,
that list.
all right, whatever. Too late. Number, I gotta put Tommy LaStella. I know it's been a year, and I don't like to jump on bandwagons like that fast.
Yeah.
But I have him on my fantasy team, so that's a little bias there. But yeah, he continues to rake, and I feel like if he got more opportunities at the top of the lineup with Trout, Otani, and Upton, he would produce even more. But they're putting him at 5 or 6 lately, partly due to Justin Upton coming back. So I
Yeah.
feel like he continues to rake, he'll climb his way onto this list. And I feel like I'll let you talk about your boyfriend Brandon Lowe. So here
All
we
right.
go.
Well, yeah. I was considering putting him at 9 or 10, but he's only been up for this year really. He was up last year, but either way, he's had a good season. Like I said earlier with McNeil, like he's a really versatile player. Hits for contact, gets on base a lot. He's actually been hitting for a lot of power. He has like 14 home runs. So that's really all I had to say. I just like people don't appreciate players like him, McNeil. Like, has anybody been talking about McNeil this year? No, but he's having a great season. So either way, I just it's kind of disappointing so many like the home run balls become such a big thing. But that's what the MLB wants. So that's what we're gonna talk about. And other than that, I think that covers everything, right?
That's it. So if you liked, subscribe. Just leave comments. We like to talk with you guys. And other than that, Hot Corner, peace.
Peace.